Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 11th of March. Well, we fought up against the 23% here, rejected. Still decent positive from a daily with the MBI magenta over yellow. Don't quite have the blue pivot crossover yet, and a little bit of that softness was obviously rising white, and the failure of that orange to dip below red. It did dip below the 7.5, which is usually enough to give you a little bit of a bounce. What we'll be looking for now will be the dip of steel back below cyan. That would be a continuation move to negative, but as it is right now, we're just looking at more or less sideways action, but easy enough for us because above the 23% at 42.60, you would be thinking to the long side and below, obviously, to the short side. And clearly it's going to be easy to see it from a 50K or even the 5K chart. NQ, definitely weaker, finishing well below both ABM as well as 23%. So ABM at 785, but the 23 is all the way up at 81. So again, that gives just an extra layer in between there, looking almost identical from a DOC reading. And we got a little bit closer from a DOC where we were expecting, looking for that orange dip below red would have been significant enough. At this particular point, being above negative 13.5, helpful for building up some strength, so likely to see some more cross action, but something to watch for here. Any pivot lower of magenta, intraday or whatever, certainly is very negative because we can get pivots lower at this particular stage, anything below that 25 range, bearish. Oil, a little back and forth action. It popped up against 76% and then traded lower. No real change in any of the dynamics. Only real add to the Ukraine-Russia conflict was Russia announcing that they're not going to allow exports of fertilizer out of the country other than to approved nations. So that could complicate things in another arena unrelated to oil. They still haven't done anything with turning off the pipeline, so as far as that goes, still helping to support things, though nothing has been resolved. And gold, it filled back a little bit of the positive extreme setup there, but right below the 76%, and a little bit of a soft spot here, a break below the 25. Definitely suggests a little bit more softness if that takes place. And the euro, following back all the hype about them tightening a little bit, but they're tightening only to issue more new facilities, not really doing anything other than just pretending like you're paying off the bill you owe so that you can borrow even more of it. It's a funny setup, but the bank situation in Europe is not good, and certainly not any better with the Russia sanctions, as there's significant exposure there. And as I promised, we would break into new lows as yields continuing to rise. No question about that. And from a Bitcoin standpoint, that massive rise, which I talked about under the weak elements, faded all the way back, and supported right in between that range. The upside of the 39, that's the high side of it. MBI White still leading this, so again, any lower pivots of magenta are exit points. ETH, clean, nice sell, and then sort of just in a flat consolidation there. From a 50K standpoint, had that nice rise, but then as soon as we dipped below, which actually right about here, we were at 24.67. That's just enough to say, look out. The only difference is I would have been looking for white to be rising then, which it did exactly the next bar, and sell took off on that one, and then shorted within that setup, which was clean, and then we ended up with that turnaround just at the 50%. So from the move to the 0 to the 100, back down to the 50, that's a popular spot for institutional type buyers. And you can see from an intraday standpoint, it was quite busy, but fairly clean. We had the nice early up move, and that proceeded across for a significant amount of time, and then we started to get little sell features after couldn't quite get over that 15, this yellow line on the shakeout. That usually promotes for longer running trend. It started to make lower highs, and then as we got the breakdowns here, those were the first sell signals. Magenta popping back up again, but the white takes over, do it all over again, and retrace to the 50. That brought us back up again, and then a solid sell signal continued from there with those magenta signalings. Brought us close to the zero, but not quite, with MBI white leading, which usually indicates you get a little bit of a pop, but usually you come back and retrace to that 0%. And that's exactly what happened. Pivot back and forth, but then it just all fell out as there was no resolution to ceasefire or anything like that. And then we started to catch back and forth fade. Little bit of a pop, then made the new low, and once it made the new low, though, magenta overtakes it right about there, and that proceeded to be all the way through to the close. So back and forth day overall. Now in post market we're plus. We finished down 20ish or so, and so they bought it all the way back up, and that's typical when you break from that 0% right there, bringing it back up to it, which turns out to be the 76 right now. And still looking strong. As always, though, any special updates or that, I will certainly put it on the Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.